All
with
right.
with stars.
Yes. All right. Hi, everyone. I am so honored to be with you here today at the Biophilia Summit and have the privilege of wrapping up such a truly inspiring day. After hearing from so many incredible speakers, I'll admit I was thinking like, let's just go out and hug a tree and call it a day. But really, it's a gift to be a part of this community and to close by looking ahead at where our conversation might take us next, right? And today we've been journeying through so many landscapes of biophilia. And my role is not to end that journey, but to help us reimagine what's possible and how, just with a little bit of imagination and AI, we can co create a living future that is deeply rooted in nature. So, yeah, thank you for the introduction. By the way of introduction, my day job is as a program manager at Google. I'm in the Boulder, Colorado office. It's very beautiful here. And I've worked across community management, AI feature development, and now I'm in privacy and cybersecurity. And I actually helped build our AI feature development framework for our organization, which is essentially creating a process to take an idea, to test that idea, and then to bring it to life as a product feature. And I've also developed and delivered multiple AI features for Google. So outside of that, my passion has always been biophilic design. Nearly a decade ago, I started the Biophilic design community on LinkedIn, which has grown to one of the largest communities dedicated to bringing professionals and enthusiasts alike from all around the world just to show how people are integrating nature into the built environment at all climates, at all scales, in all contexts, on all budgets. And then my side project and consultancy continue to really be about one thing, and that's reconnecting people for the nature of people and nature for the benefit of both on what we call, or Buckminster Fuller called, this spaceship Earth. So when thinking about this talk, it really dawned on me that architects, designers, entrepreneurs, everyone in the room today, really, you're already uniquely primed to leverage AI because I think we're used to visualizing ideas that don't really exist yet, right? We live in that imagination space. And so I believe imagination really is the seed to all of this and that secret sauce too. So my hope is that this talk inspires you to continue to dare to dream, to see that your visions are not abstract, but the foundation of the world that we are creating together here in this very inspiring conference. And anything is really possible when we bring our collective imagination and energy together with a little sprinkle of AI in there. So, with that, I know some of you might feel a little bit like this pitcher trying to drink from a fire hose. That's exactly how I feel and what it can feel like when we search about AI and we try to keep up with the pace of change. It's so fast, it's so overwhelming, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. So let me say this up front. I am not an AI expert. I'm navigating the fire hose and the water's right alongside of you. But what I do want to do today is bring AI down to a level where it feels approachable and share very actionable insights and possibilities without diving like too deep into the technical weeds where we're all going to get a little lost. So to make this feel a little bit less than like drinking from a fire hose, and before we dive into like the exciting creative ways that we can use I just want to pause and set some context and maybe even offer a little bit of hope on what this all means for our futures and our jobs. But here's a quick question. I just want to ask the chat. I'm going to give you only like 10 or 20 seconds because we don't have a lot of time here. But does anyone know what this is a picture of? Put it in the chat if you know what this is a picture of. Yeah, some great. And I got to get it up too. Anyone know what this is a picture of? No guesses yet. It's not a super trick question. Oh, but no worries. Okay, we are looking at an elevator operator. And it's really hard to believe now that this was once a real job, right? Like when elevators were first invented, they were too complicated to operate alone. You needed someone to manage them. But here's the interesting part and why I bring this up. Even after elevators became self-sufficient with like the buttons and stuff, this job still existed for around 15 years. Why? Because people were too nervous to step into this new technology on their own. And I think we're in a very similar moment with AI. The technology is here, it's already very powerful, but many of us are still really unsure and maybe even hesitant about stepping in. And so that's why today I just want to reassure you that Your jobs are not going to vanish overnight. Yes, they will change, but my role is a little bit like the elevator operator here. I want to help guide you into this new space and help you reshift your mindset a little bit. Right now, I would say one of the primary uses of AI that I see most people using, and I use myself a lot, is as a writing buddy. But today I want to take us a little bit further. Sometimes, people say it's lazy to use AI, but I really do think this mindset is starting to shift. And just because elevators exist does not mean that you should never take the stairs. There's so many reasons why we would take the stairs, right? Health, challenge, it's the right choice. It's the same with AI. So you have to decide when you take the AI elevator and when do I need to take the stairs and do that deep, difficult work myself. So AI is not eliminating the work, it's shifting the work. It helps us reserve our best energy for the work that matters most, that we're the best at, or that's the most interesting to us. And here's the reality. We do live in a world of information skyscrapers. And AI can really act as that elevator, helping us to move quickly through all of these massive amounts of information and data, kind of like that fire hose image a few slides back, right? But ultimately, we have to choose when to step off and when to climb the stairs. And that essentially is what we call a human in the loop approach. So as we move forward, I just want you to reflect on your own work on when do you want to leverage the elevator and when do you need to, or want to take the stairs. And once you start noticing those moments on when to take the stairs and when to step into the elevator, the next question then is, how do we actually bring AI into our daily work in a meaningful way? And, in a way, actually, it's kind of how we approach biophilia, right? So we don't just design with nature as an aesthetic backdrop. I mean, I guess some people do, but we invite nature in as a co-designer and as a collaborator. And with AI, we're going to try to take a similar mindset, right? So it's not just about replacing us, it's about reshaping the conversation, discovering what this new collaborator can actually contribute, and where our uniquely human wisdom is actually essential. I really love these rules for integrating AI into work and life from Athan Malik, and this is taken from his book Co-Intelligence, which I really recommend. But here's the mind shift, the really a key mindset shift. There we go. Always invite AI to the table because the truth is you don't really know yet what AI will be good for or bad for inside of your specific job or industry. I don't know. I can't tell you. Nobody knows. The only way we'll figure it out is through experimentation. You have to use it. You have to try it. You have to play with it. You won't discover where it helps until you start experimenting with it in your day-to-day work. And as you do that, remember the last concept, be the human in the loop, right? AI might be better than a lot of people at certain tasks, but it's not better at the whole job. So whatever you're best at, you're almost certainly better than AI, okay? And that gives you the opportunity for you to focus on what you do uniquely well and let AI take the repetitive or draining or things that you just rather not spend your energy on. So again, think back to the elevator. Where can you take the elevator and where do you still need to take the stairs? And, balance that human in the loop approach. And as weird as it may seem, treat AI like a human. So these models are trained and refined on human language. So they respond best when we speak to them naturally. If you just toss in vague questions to them, you're going to get a vague answer. If you give it context, if you assign it a role, it's going to get sharper. So just to think off the top of my head, you're doing a prompt, you're like, you are a leading expert in sustainable architecture, focused on affordable housing in the US. Something like that really sets the stage, and it's going to allow better results than just a generic prompt. And you want to think of it more as like a continuous conversation back and forth and just like a one-off transaction. And finally, as scary or exciting as it sounds, assume this is the worst AI you will ever use. We are still very much in the early days. Every tool that you use is only going to get better and faster and more powerful. And I want to share a little bit of hope and a guiding principle for this session. AI is not going to take your job. The person who uses AI is going to take your job. Therefore, the first thing everyone should do is to learn to use AI so they can augment their own productivity. I think the second part of this quote is especially important, and to me is the goal of what we're doing here today. We're learning how to use AI to augment ourselves, not replace ourselves. AI is a tool that's going to help you do your best work and keeps you at the center of creativity, decision-making, and impact, okay? To ground this idea in one quick example, I really love how biophilic design can really support us in the age of AI in a place that you might not expect, Neuralink. So despite your opinions on Elon Musk and Neuralink, I find it really fascinating that they're applying biophilic principles in their primate research facilities. So Neuralink uses AI to decode brain signals and translate them into actions, enabling thought-controlled devices. So in this photo, there's a chimp playing Pong using only its mind, but what really caught my attention isn't just that the technology is great, it's the environment. And these labs aren't cold, sterile, clinical. They've incorporated biophilic design, naturalistic backdrops, open spaces, abundant light, natural elements. And so by integrating nature into these spaces, Neuralink is prioritizing animal welfare. It might also improve the quality of the data because the monkeys are more at ease than they would be at like a sterile lab. I think this is just a really powerful reminder that even in cutting edge AI research, thoughtful design rooted in nature can create better outcomes for people, animals, and technology alike. Okay, let's get into some Imagineering. I want to focus on how we can leverage AI to develop and create a vision of a biophilic future, okay? And there are many, many tools out there today. The demo is Midjourney. I also really love Google Gemini, which recently released its image generator called Nano Banana, which is fun, but I'm biased. Both of these have free plans. A lot of them do. What you see today is all from a paid version. You might be wondering, should I pay for AI tools? Yes. The gap between free and paid is significant, like trying to design with a hand tied behind your back. My advice is to, explore, pick a tool based on what it's best at, what you want to use it for, and invest in it. I was going to do a live demo, but in the interest of avoiding internet or tech glitches, I'm just going to show you how you can use Midjourney to create beautiful ecotopia images. And these kind of visuals can help you inspire and communicate your vision, spark imagination on a project, and even go viral on social media, which I've seen happen in my LinkedIn community. And the process is really simple today. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to prompt the AI, which just essentially, again, means that human language, that conversation in plain language. And we'll use Midjourney to generate the visuals. And then I'm also going to show you how you can use ChatGPT to help you actually craft your prompts. So yeah, you can use AI to get better to talking to AI. It's kind of meta. All right. Let's start with the simple phrase, green vegetated ecotopia city, and we're gonna layer on some prompts to see what happens. And it's sometimes really good to start just like with basic words and then add some layers on, which you'll see. And by the way, here's a screenshot of what Midjourney prompt looks like on Discord chat. Okay, here's the outcome. So you can see, imagine green vegetated ecotopia city. But how about we play with some of the dimensions, right? Like let's make these images kind of fit better on the page and alter the dimensions with AR command, aspect ratio. Okay, you can see I added the AR command at the end. Here's the outcome from changing the dimension. Again, there's so many different opportunities and you can customize it into what you need. Now let's explore the idea of medium, right? So one of the most important commands to change the look of your image, you can give, the AI a really unique dimension with terms like oil painting, watercolor, crayon, woodblock, hand-drawn, illustration, sky's the limit, imagination's the limit. So as you can see here, we're starting to play with medium a little bit. I have Japanese woodblock on the left, and I have oil painting on the right. And similarly, we can play with art styles. So we can add really unique flair by combining multiple different art styles. I mean, you could do Impressionist, 1950s pinup, Cubism, Bauhaus, fine art, futuristic, nouveau, vaporwave, comet, pop art, architectural. I mean, you can really, really get creative with it. So on the top left, we did vaporwave airbrush. On the middle, kawaii science fiction realistic watercolor. On the bottom, pop art CMYK print. Really fun. Don't be afraid to make crazy combinations. That is what Midjourney is for. You could even add an additional layer on here from historical artists like Liechtenstein, Monet, Van Gogh, Pollock. I'm not going to show you an example, but I mean, you could just keep going here if you wanted. And similarly, it's hard to think about all of these, right? So here's an example of how you can use ChatGPT to actually discover ideas of what to prompt and discover new art styles or photographic styles or anything like that. And right, you can even explore context, right? Like countries and climates. So here we have the Egyptian style. Yeah, specify the urban style. You could go Spanish or something from Miami or Havana or something Japanese or Swedish. I mean, again, it's imagination is your limit. You can also get creative with views and angles. So the top one is a satellite view, the bottom one is a street view, and my personal favorite is the worm's eye view on that middle. I just think that's such a fun idea. But yeah, this can really switch it up as well. And people, of course, you don't want to leave your imaginings free of humans, or maybe you do. It depends on the goal, I guess. But you can prompt for the specific type of people that you want to show, like children playing, women, men, teens, older people, like whatever you want to portray in your designs. And then ethnicity too. So fortunately, some of the AI tools do tend to lean Caucasian sometimes when they're rendering humans. So you might need to instruct it with like a range of diverse nationalities. This is just something to pay a little bit of attention to. I mean, of course, there is bias in these models. We're aware of it, and there are solutions to get around it. Also, you can remove something, right? So when we're creating eco cities, sometimes we want to remove certain things, and you would use the no command here. So no cars, no asphalt, no concrete, no roads, things like that. So as you can see, your imagination is really the limit with AI, and it can be so useful in visualizing what we can imagine, right? Okay, now what? How do you apply this specifically to your problems and projects like today or tomorrow? When you get out of this, how do you apply it? I think you can leverage it in two really distinct ways. So the first one is to create a before and after picture just like this. This is an example of something that you can create. You literally splice the image and of your imagined future with your current reality. I personally think this creates a really engaging creative experience. You're showing the transformation of a bleak, concrete-filled urban environment into like a vibrant future city that thrives as nature and is great for humans. And in this example too, you could even layer on like with graphic design tools, like people like that you can see in this image too. And you could even use that with AI tooling as well. I think the second way is that you could make what I just did here a hands-on workshop with your client. If you're trying to sell a project or get people to rally behind an idea, like think about how you could do this with your stakeholders, your communities, or your clients on a future project. Like this is essentially like a call for adventure where you're outlining the vision for another possible world with the community members and the stakeholders. And now you have the power to visualize and show your clients the unique ideas and visually illustrate like those gaps between the current reality and the new possible world. And not only is leveraging AI to co-create a biophilic future a fun way to inspire change, it's actually supported by peer-reviewed research. So if you use this in a creative exercise, it's been shown that it can directly increase pro-environmental behavior, which could be used as a very powerful tool for fostering action. When you get people into groups to like kind of co-create something, it creates accountability, social cohesion, and that tends to lead to persistent behavioral change. And because an Imagineering workshop similar to what I showed today is interactive, it can increase people's emotional attachment to the issue itself. So hopefully those are like some very concrete ways that you can literally take this and use it tomorrow. Okay, I'm good on time. I really hope that this resonated and inspired with you today, and do not be intimidated by AI. And hopefully it gave you some inspiration, but also some concrete ways that you can really start co-creating a biophilic future with AI. Remember, AI is not here to replace us yet. It's a collaborator, it's a tool, it's a co-designer, just like nature, right? Just as biophilic design invites us to look at the patterns and the intelligence and the beauty of the natural world. AI can help us reimagine what's possible, explore new ideas, bring our visions to life. And you can really, if you imagine it, you can create it, experiment, dream, play, have AI lift you up like an elevator through all this skyscraper of data and complexity and information. But remember that you can step off and take the stairs and deeply connect to what matters most. So thank you so much for being part of the summit and for rewilding your imagination with me today. And I hope that, we can co-create a biophilic future together. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Alexandra. That was, lots of things packed into that, which take a while to go through. And the Imagineering in terms of the visuals, brilliant. That's and thanks for explaining the prompts along the way. Just go back. You mentioned you're using AI as a writing buddy, which I think we're all exploring that aspect. And then to combine that with sort of nature as a co-creator, do you think there's a stage where AI can become that co-creator, not in visuals, but as the nature at the table voice?
Yes, I actually attended a membership community talk a couple of days ago on Indigenous frameworks, and I forget the speaker now, but she was talking about how a lot of the Indigenous history is oral, and so that's not really necessarily being AI models aren't capturing that because a lot of it is oral history. So she's actually working on developing a model with that Indigenous information and history so that the AI can actually learn from their Indigenous frameworks. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that's great, because we're seeing more organizations appointing a chief nature officer, and I guess there's something equivalent within Google. Yeah, that voice of conscience at the decision making, whether it's a project or an organization. And it just struck me listening to you this afternoon that, AI can fill that slot. So, there we go. And then my other question before we start to close up was where next? You mentioned that the AI used today is the worst it's going to be. And we know technology is improving. But is there another major step? We didn't have AI 2 years ago. Oh, we did, but it wasn't everyday use a year, 2 years ago. Where's it going to be in 5 years?
Yeah, you ask certain experts, and some people say AGI, artificial general intelligence, which is when they're kind of operating on their own accord. So I, for one, welcome my new overlords. But I think we're still a little bit away from that. I think right now there's kind of a race for data. It's very expensive. You see people starting to build, water hogging data centers and mining people's personal and private data. I mean, I think we're just seeing a resurgence. It requires a lot of data. So that's why these big players like Google, who have access to a lot of user data, are pulling ahead because it's expensive. So we're seeing a lot of personalization starting to happen, right? Which does use data, but we want AI to be a little bit more helpful, and that requires some personalization. So I'm seeing a lot of that, just general growth. AI is like unsatiated, right? And it's going up like a hockey stick. So, and all that water usage as well in the data centers. But yeah, I would say you're going to start seeing a little bit more on the personalization front. But yeah, that does require more of your personal data. So make sure you pay attention to those privacy policies and settings.
You touch on the topics we don't have time for, all that digital waste we're creating along the way, which is using more water, and it's there forever and a day. But yeah, we can discuss that another one. Okay, we run up against time, so many thanks, Alexandra. There may be questions appearing in the chat. If you could answer those whilst we're closing, that'd be wonderful. Thank you. Yeah. And so, yeah, it falls to me. So it's a real honor now to close this fantastic summit. Oh, there we go. Yeah, to close this fantastic summit. We've heard some brilliant experts. We've journeyed through some wonderful projects. We've explored biophilia as the love of life, love of nature, from a diverse set of lenses and perspectives. We looked at the outer and the inner, the technical and the meditative art where we started this morning. We looked at verse as another way of being more creative in our case studies. We've explored from leadership to education to place-based storytelling. And then we're a fantastic hour this afternoon in that